Hello everyone, I'm Sally. Welcome to today's Atta webinar, which is with Great Plains Conservation about their Kenya camps, and the presenter today is Alex Walters. A few reminders before we start. As always, you can ask questions via the Q&A box which is showing on your screen. These will be fielded to Alex at the end of the webinar, but if anything pops up during, feel free to type them in there and I will field them to him at the end. And then a recording of the webinar will be sent out to everyone who's registered. So you will still receive a recording if you join halfway through, and if you figure you have any questions later, you can email them to Alex, as I'll include his email address on that. So as I said, the webinar today will be presented by Alex Walters, who is the Sales and Marketing Manager for Europe and Middle East markets for Great Plains Conservation, and he's also one of Atta's European advisors. So Alex, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sally, and thank you everyone for joining this Great Plains webinar. I'm focusing today on Kenya. In the past, I have also done some recorded webinars with Atta for Botswana and Zimbabwe, which you'll be able to find on the Atta website. Just recently I got an email from HMRC, which for those who are not in the UK stands for Her Majesty's Revenues and Customs, inviting me to join a Brexit webinar. So as the European advisor to Atta, I'd like to say that this webinar will be informative. It will be, you'll get information that you will understand, unlike Brexit, and perhaps a bit like Brexit, it might go on a bit. So with no further ado, I'm going to focus on Kenya and go to Kenya now. So Great Plains Conservation operates camps and lodges throughout Africa. We operate for good reasons. So our reason to operate in any particular area, that it must have a good conservation aspect. So for example, here in the southern parts of Kenya, in the Chyulu Hills, where we have Old Donyo Lodge, we operate in an area of Maasai land between Amboseli and the Chyulu Hills. It's an area of 2.5 times the size of Amboseli, and what we're doing is providing a wildlife corridor between the Amboseli, Chyulu Hills and Tsavo ecosystem. So that's one of the major reasons why we have gone into that area. In the Masai Mara, for example, we operate in 3 Masai conservancies. So these conservancies are newly formed within the last 10 years, and they have more than doubled the area of protected land for wildlife conservation in the Kenyan side of the Serengeti Masai Mara ecosystem. So that's the reason why we go there. We also do local projects on the ground with the Great Plains Foundation and our charitable partners. So in Kenya, we have a number of partners, for example, with the Maasai Olympic Games. So since 2012, every 2 years, we host, in conjunction with our partners, the Big Life Foundation and National Geographic Big Cats Initiative and other partners, to provide a sort of Maasai style Olympics, where you do things like rungu throwing or standing high jump. And the whole point of this is a sort of a part of a greater awareness that you mustn't kill lions to prove yourself to become a warrior. You can do so in other ways, like athletics, for example. And they will win meaningful prizes, for example, prize bulls for their families or educational scholarships. So that's a project that we do in partnership with Big Life and other charities in that area in southern Kenya. Our student conservation camps, we started this in Botswana, we moved it up into Kenya. So now we're working in the Maasai region in partnership with the Mara Trust, but also we're now opening student conservation camps in the southern part in the Old Donyo region as well. We also have introduced a solar lantern program. Again, this started off with our camps and our communities in Botswana. And these solar lanterns, which cost $35, which guests can buy at any of our camps, go to illuminate poor homes without light, to allow kids to read and study at night, and obviously to change lives where in a dark environment. So that's just some of the little projects that we get involved with, as well as the wider conservation projects that we do by physically being in these regions, employing people, and Maasai communities benefiting from tourism. Okay, so I'm going to take you to Old Donyo Lodge first. So this is the southern part of Kenya. You've got Nairobi over here, a 35-minute flight with Safari Link to our own airstrip, which is called Old Donyo Was. It's the same flight that will go to either Amboseli National Park or to Tsavo West. So it will drop down on demand at Old Donyo to take you there. So 35 minutes. And then this whole area between the Chyulu Hills, where we are, and Amboseli National Park, as I mentioned earlier, was 2.5 times the size of Amboseli National Park, with one lodge of seven units. So it is Maasai land. We're working to provide that wildlife corridor between the national parks. And you'll see the amount of space and land that we can operate in with absolute exclusivity. So the Chyulu Hills are Ernest Hemingway's Green Hills of Africa. They are a volcanic range of hills overlooking Kilimanjaro. They're characterized by mist forests in the highest parts of the Chyulu Hills. Flanking the sort of flanks of the hills are acacia forests, which gives rise to vast savanna grasslands stretching all the way to Kilimanjaro. Amongst those grasslands, you have rocky outcrops, volcanic rocky outcrops, and it just provides the most amazing, diverse landscape for your guests to enjoy. From the lodge, about 10 minutes away, we also have a Ride Kenya stables where we have over 20 horses. So we're able to offer horse riding safaris in the region too. So Old Donyo Lodge is a Relais Chateau member property and National Geographic Unique Lodges property with 7 suites. Here it is a sort of a multi-activity destination. So we have so many different things to do throughout the day at Old Donyo. You'll never get bored. Here we have a sunken hide, which is brand new. We opened up this year, very, very close to one of the 4 water holes down below the lodge. And I mentioned the space, and just to give you an idea, we have a maximum probably about 4,000 guests per year come to Old Donyo in an area 2.5 times the size of Amboseli National Park. Amboseli National Park has estimated around about 120,000 visitors per year. So you're getting an idea of the exclusivity of the space that we're in. Yes, you will see Maasai in this region. They'll be grazing their cows and goats in different areas. We work in this region with Big Life, as I mentioned, to protect not only the wildlife, so that animals are not killed in retribution, perhaps for a lion killing their cows or goats. But also we're working with the communities to warn villagers where not to graze their cows and goats if there are lions or other predators in that region, through lion guardians, for example, and community outreach visits. So something like it's $120 per person per night of your stay is going to community and conservation projects. So a third will go to Big Life Foundation, a third will go to the communities, and a third will go to expanding a habitat conservancy region around the lodge. It is classic quintessential Africa. You've got Kilimanjaro as your backdrop, beautiful uninterrupted views of Kilimanjaro, so long as it's not cloudy. You've got the big tusker elephants, which are one of the star draws of the region, as well as an increasing number of lions in the area and cheetah. And it's becoming so rich in cats now that we are comparable to some of the best wildlife parks anywhere in Africa. A huge diversity of wildlife. We've got gerenuk, which are normally found further north in Kenya, north of the equator. They're found in this region. It's a very, very dry region. So they love this sort of environment. That first picture I showed you of the lodge had a sunken viewing hide. And this is it on the left. So as you come in, it's basically a metal container. Inside, we have equipped it so that it's soundproof as much as possible. So the metal sides of the container have been decked or veneered with wood where this glass of wine is. It's sitting on top of a padded foam shelf, so that when you put your cameras down, you're not disturbing the wildlife. So you can get some really, really close-up views of animals coming to drink, and we get a lot there. We also have a second hide, just set back a bit further back, which is a log pile hide, which is our original hide. This probably has a better sort of views directly to Kilimanjaro. So each of the hides have different pros and cons. This hide, for example, that we're looking at now, is a great place to have lunch or a sort of sundowner drinks. And you can see we got, in the dry season, we got the largest population of eland in Kenya. We got the largest population of fringed oryx in Kenya. We're getting a lot of elephants, the big tusker elephants that are coming here, and they're all males, all bulls. And they're all known to us, and they all have names, and we have a whole elephant spotting guide, so you can identify the elephants whilst you're down at our hides. We offer horse riding, and we have over 20 horses in our stables. For more advanced riders, you can go up into the Chyulu Hills like these guys, but we can also take novice riders. Those who can sort of start, stop and turn are able to do a novice hack on the plains where it's much, much safer. Cheetah are not going to attack you. Lions, elephants, buffalo, yeah, they're the worry. And we do have plenty of them. When you first go riding at our stables, you come into this new tack room where we have all sorts of boots, ladies, men's boots, full-length boots, jodhpurs, helmets, chaps, gloves, everything you need. And each horse of the 20 horses will have 3 different saddles. We have Western saddles, trail saddles, and English saddles. So whatever you're used to riding, we have the equipment for the horse. When you do go riding with us, we ask you to fill in a riding questionnaire. It asks for your weight. 95 kilos is our maximum limit. It will ask for your riding ability, how often you ride, that sort of thing, so that we can match a horse in advance to your riding ability. The horse is very much, the stables is very much a working stable, so it's a nice place to come here, even if you don't ride, just to have a look. So there's a lot of farriers and grooms going about their business. Another type of riding is mountain bike riding. So we've got something like 10 mountain bikes, which are really, really good mountain bikes, where we go riding out into the plains, not in the hills, ironically. It's just a bit too dangerous to ride in the hills, but out on the plains, do some exercise, ride through our kopjes. You've got Kilimanjaro behind these clouds here. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful landscape to enjoy. We do limited walking safaris, so we can do walks up to our sundowner spot on the top of Old Donyo Hill, which has beautiful views to Kilimanjaro again. These dark areas are lava flows from the volcanic Chyulu Hills, and within those lava flows, we have some of the longest lava flow systems in the world. So it's just one of those amazing activities to do, which is kind of weather dependent. We tend not to do it in the rainy season because you can get flash floods down through here and it can be a little bit slippery. But it's a fantastic thing to do, maybe after your morning activity, whether you've done a walk or horse ride or a game drive, to then come midday, you do a 1-hour game drive up into these volcanic craters, and then a 1-hour walk through the lava tunnels when the light is shining down straight into the lava tunnels. So we've got lots of activities to do throughout the day, not just that morning or late afternoon peak period. We have a new spa here at Old Donyo. So here on the left, we see a sort of manicure and pedicure room. And then we also have a spa massage room overlooking Kilimanjaro. Whether you want to look out to the side like this lady is, or like me here in this photo, getting pummeled to get those knots out of my shoulders. I always wonder, you know, you're looking through that donut in the end of this massage table, you know, wouldn't it be nice to have a view? But I did have a view of these beautiful sandals. So I took a photo of her sandals midway through the massage. But spa is something that Great Plains is very much getting into, the whole wellness aspect. In all of our camps and lodges throughout our whole portfolio, we have yoga mats, for example, for exercise, little exercise weights and rubber bands as well. So we have a lot to do. After your spa, you can come and have a dip in the main pool, but each room will also have its private plunge pool as well. Or you can enjoy the bar area, the lounge, looking down onto the water hole down below. And we do private dining or wine tastings in our wine cellar as well. And when you come to premium lodges like Old Donyo, like Mara Plains, Mara Nyika in Kenya, those are our premium range. You have premium wines. So you're going to have the finest South African wines, French wines, Latin American wines as well, and Australian wines. When you go to our more explore level camps, which Mara Expedition Camp is, which I'll come on to soon, the wines are good, absolutely nothing wrong with them, but they just won't be at that premium level. Another thing I also forgot to mention, when you go to our premium camps, we provide Canon professional cameras in each room for you to use, as well as Leica or Swarovski binoculars. So you can get some fantastic shots down at the water holes or out on game drives. This is the lodge with its 7 suites. We have 3 standard pool suites. A standard pool suite will be sort of that area there. Okay, so you have a bedroom in the middle, you have a outside shower, you have a bathroom, and then on top we have star beds, and we have a pool in the front. If you have a deluxe pool suite, you'll have an extra lounge to have more space. We also have a 2-bedroom suite, which are basically 2 of these joined together with a larger lounge with a central pool in the middle. Okay, so your bedroom inside, we either have glass fronts or we now have new, on the previous older units, we now have gauze fronts. We used to have just storm curtains. So it's whatever you prefer. Some people actually like to have a bit of a cooling breeze coming into the rooms. Others prefer the glass, sort of hermetically sealed kind of experience. You have a private plunge pool at the front, overlooking the 4 water holes down below. And then on top, we have star beds made up at night. We also now have a new Celestron stargazing scope, electronic scope, which you can program whatever star you want to see and it'll go straight in there. So when I was there actually a couple of weeks ago, we had sort of Kenya's equivalent of Professor Brian Cox explaining about the wonders of the universe. And it was amazing to see all the guides so enthused by the stars that here, right on the equator, which is very unique for the world really, is that we can see, it's not unique for the world that you can see stars in the southern and northern hemisphere, but Kenya being so dry generally has good viewing of stars, both in the southern and northern hemisphere, pretty much year round. Obviously we have our rainy seasons, but star viewing is a new activity here at Old Donyo. We take kids from the age of 5 upwards at Old Donyo, so it's a really good family-friendly destination as well. Okay, if you've got any questions on Old Donyo, fire them away at Sally. I will go through the questions at the end of this webinar. I'm now moving on to the Masai Mara. Okay, so just to give you a bit of geography, we've got the Masai Mara National Reserve. We've got the Mara River coming up from the Serengeti. Well, it will be coming down into the Serengeti. So you've got the Mara River, and our second major river is the Talek River, which comes through this way. Those are the 2 big rivers that if you are wanting to see a river crossing of wildebeest and zebra in the main migration period of sort of July to October, that's where you tend to go. However, I will be talking about the non-migration season particularly, because in my personal opinion, and I've been to the Mara many times, outside of the migration season, you have as good wildlife viewing as anywhere else in Africa during its peak seasons. So I'm going to show you some images and show you what the landscapes are like. I'm going to first start off at the Ilara Motorogi region, and then I'll come on to Mara Nyika at the end, which is our new camp in Naboisho Conservancy. So we have three camps. Mara Expedition Camp is an explorer-style camp set in the Masai Mara National Reserve with access to the Mara North Conservancy. So that's day access only because we are located in the National Reserve and you have to adhere to National Reserve limits. We have Mara Plains Camp in the Ilara Motorogi Conservancy, which will access that conservancy as well as the National Reserve. And then our new one, Mara Nyika, in the Naboisho Conservancy with access to the Mara National Reserve as well. The key difference between the conservancies and the National Reserve is you can go off-road. You have 10 to 15 times less density of vehicles in the conservancies than you will in the National Reserve during peak season. So you typically have no more than 4 or 5 vehicles at any sort of big cat sighting, for example, in the conservancies. You can also do night drives if you're located within the conservancies as well. So there's some of the benefits. And also we can do walking with the Kenya Wildlife Service guide in conjunction with our own guides in the conservancies, which you cannot do in the National Reserve. Okay, so we'll go to Mara Expedition Camp first. Well, before we do that, I'm just going to explain about the non-peak season. So that actually, if you go out of season, and there is no out of season. Out of season, what I'm really sort of referring to is July to October, which is when the peak migration comes up from the Serengeti into the Mara. Go out of season, you get dramatic skies, which is amazing for photography. The big cats are still there. They don't move with the migration moving south. But also you have a migration in those conservancies that stays there pretty much year round, which is the loiter migration or the loiter herds of wildebeest and zebra. So pretty much year round, the conservancies have a good number of wildebeest and zebra. There's plenty of prey for big cats. And also out of season is greener. For photographers, that green clear light makes for very clear, crisp images and interesting newborn animals, bird life, dramatic skies. So go out of season is my top tip. Not only that, you will save a packet, and we also have 4 nights for 3 offers, for example, pretty much from 1st November through to 31st of May. I mentioned we can also do walking in the conservancies. You might find some unusual pygmy giraffe as well. Okay, so here is just a detailed map of the Ilara Motorogi Conservancy. Mara Expedition Camp will have access to the Mara North Conservancy partly through the Ilara Motorogi Conservancy. Mara Plains Camp is 1.5 kilometers upstream in the Inchekchek River, where they both are. So Mara Expedition Camp is 5 tents. It's an authentic bush camp with style is how I'd call it. It's predator central. You're going to see a lot of big cats in this region, especially leopard. Leopards love it along this river line. That's both Mara Plains and Mara Expedition Camp are on. The style of our mess tent is designed to look better with age. So any of this furniture, if it gets a knock or a scratch, or like I did when I was there, spill a glass of red wine, it adds character, it adds a story, and all of our camps are designed to look better with age. And it's very much a bush camp. We've got a little river down below to the right-hand side off screen here. And here's one of the 5 tents. So they're raised up on decks. You have a deck out the front, you have a hammock out the front. As you're going into the tents, we have solar power. And then you're coming through from your bedroom into your shower tent. Here we've got a bucket shower to recreate that old style safari experience. And for honeymooners, we do little hip baths as well. So that's Mara Expedition Camp. Now moving on to Mara Plains. So Mara Plains is a Relais Chateau member property as well as a National Geographic Unique Lodges property as well. access, you cross over a rope bridge into the main part of the camp, as do the baboons. As you come into the main lounge area, you got a spacious lounge, you got a dining area. Next to it, you have a separate library with a viewing scope. And that's your sort of main public area looking from the front. And if I pull back a bit further, you'll see it's very well hidden in that tree line. We also offer spa treatments here in room. And then one of your 5 one-bedroom units, and we have 1 2-bedroom family suite, which is basically 2 of these on a shared deck with about 2 or 3 meters in between. So very open plan, much bigger. When you go to the premium level, you're obviously getting a lot more space. You get nice copper bars. Again, you've got the fine wines, you've got the Canon cameras, and you've got the Leica or Swarovski binoculars. There's an inside shower. That's your Instagram moment. And now our new baby is Mara Nyika Camp. So this opened on the 5th of August. It's a sister camp to Mara Plains. It's common rated with Mara Plains Camp. And when we opened on the 5th of August, for the first 6 weeks, we were almost 100% full. Such is the demand for premium products in the Mara ecosystem, but also through the reputation of the likes of Mara Plains and Great Plains, has allowed it to be sold without any images being released. We've only just released the images, and you're about to see that. Just to describe the Naboisho Conservancy and how it's slightly different, I would say you've got very, very high plains. These light areas are really high upland plains. We have beautiful views stretching down towards the Talek River, which runs through the southern part of the Naboisho Conservancy. From those plains, you have riverine valleys, you have escarpments, you have whistling thorn, acacia thickets, and sort of basalt rock outcrops. So it's a very, very diverse habitat. These plains do lend themselves very well to lions and cheetah. And just to give you some ideas of what the conservancy looks like. So these are sort of the high plains looking down towards the Mara, and on a clear day, you'll see the hills of the Serengeti as well. So these are the Loiter Hills herd that are pretty much in these northern conservancies year round now. So you are going to see wildebeest any time of year, and zebra, plenty of topi, and all sorts of other animals. This is the whistling thorn acacia thicket. So fringing those plateaus, you get outcrops of this whistling thorn. And those basalt rocks, this is kind of lions saying, hi, if I lie down low enough, they might not see me. And then coming down off those escarpments, you have these beautiful rocky streams, which then connect through to the Talek River down below. Okay, so just to give you an idea of our vehicle, so we have 4 6-seater vehicles. Okay, so here's the camp. So this is set in the sort of headwaters of a river valley. So there is a stream that runs all the way along here, and you can see that they're not 3 tents, 3 individual guest tents next to each other. That's actually 1 tent unit, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 guest tents, and in the middle we have the main mess area. Just to give you a bit more closer detail, so here's one of the guest tents. You can see they're really nicely shaded under these beautiful yellow fever trees, and you have that riverine vegetation. And the river runs right in front of most of the tents, sometimes behind, sometimes actually underneath, like the wine tent over here. So it's a really nice feature, and plenty of privacy between each of the tents with the established vegetation. We have actually planted in this valley over 1,000 new trees, which will help as a carbon sink, but also to to give even more protection. So here is your entrance tent, which interconnects through to your bedroom tent, which interconnects through to your bathroom tent. So you can see that everything's raised up quite a lot. You have a wooden walkways connecting all of the 4 tents in the main mess area. Amongst this vegetation, we've got a couple of buffalo that tend to hang out, so it's good that we're up high. As you're coming into one of the units, you come into your lounge tent. We have private dining on the deck out one side, or communal dining in the main public areas, or private dining in that area. Then going through to your bedroom tent, which then goes through to your bathroom tent. So your bedroom tent, and then your bathroom tent, which has an inside shower and obviously a toilet. So from one of the guest rooms, we'll walk over this way. We're coming to a wine cellar. This river actually doesn't always flow. It really only flows when there's a good deluge. And it actually meanders right underneath this wine cellar where we're going next. So here's this wine cellar, got views over this river channel. Within the wine cellar, we've got fantastic premium wines. We do wine tastings. It's a really nice place to have a small group or private dinner. In the main public area, it's open plan. So as you go in, we got influences from India, from Africa, and there's sort of a lot of reclaimed hardwoods, railway sleepers, which is a feature of a lot of our tented camps. Okay, we've got a fantastic chef team and great team generally at Mara Nyika. Some of the best food I've ever had on safari is here, and very, very healthy options. So they're very light meals, beautifully presented and delicious. So that's Mara Nyika. Next year, we will have a 2-bedroom Jahazi suite, which will be open sort of just before July. This will have a private guide, private staff. It'll be a tented villa concept. And this is roughly what it looks like. You'll have a main mess area in the middle, bedroom either side, and a private bathroom on either side. We will also have a smaller 2-bedroom family unit as well. So that's phase 2 of our development of Mara Nyika. Before I wrap up, I'm just going to touch on a few of the other offerings that Great Plains offers, not only in Kenya, but also in Botswana and Zimbabwe. So we have something called Wild Studio, which is our photographic workshop program. So we have a network of individual photographic tutors that we call upon within these countries to be able to offer your guests on a tailor-made basis a photographic workshop experience, regardless of your level of experience with cameras. Obviously, at our premium camera camps, we include all of the premium camps. So, for example, at Mara Nyika, we're including Canon 5D Mark IVs and 100 to 400 millimeter lenses and a wide-angle zoom lens. So we provide the equipment, but it's just getting the best out of your equipment, and we can call upon photographic tutors to help your guests. And that's not just for Great Plains camps. If you combine a Great Plains camp with any third-party camps, they can travel with you to those third-party camps too. We can also offer weddings. So this is a wedding that was taken at, that took place at Donyo. It's on request. It's a wedding ceremony as opposed to a legal wedding. And that's something that we can do on request. We do have a Young Explorers program for kids. So at the end of their stay, they will graduate to become a junior ranger. And Old Donyo, I think personally, is our most suited camp for all of this, because there's so many different activities that we can do without much in the way of restrictions of what we can do. So whether it's art, or whether it's making bows and arrows, or tracking animals, or evading anti-poaching dogs, which is another activity at Old Donyo. We've got a lot of activities for kids as well. We also have a private Pilatus PC-12 aircraft. It is stationed in Johannesburg Lanseria Airport, but it can fly anywhere throughout Africa. And we can offer third-party aircraft as well, not just our own. Also, we just knew this year we are offering helicopter transfers to and from our camps, from Nairobi or between camps, or scenic flights, whether it's around the Mara or Old Donyo. So that's all on our rate sheet. I've overrun like Brexit, so just open for questions now.
Thank you so much, Alex, for a fantastic presentation. As Alex said, if anyone's got any questions, please type them into the box. I can see that there are two from Old Donyo at the beginning. So we've got Pierre who is asking what lens type and lengths are supplied for the cameras.
Okay, it varies depending on which camp you go to. So at Old Donyo, we've got Canon 5D Mark IIIs, and it's 100 to 400 millimeter 4 to 5.6 USM 2 lens, and they've got a 24 to 105 millimeter wide angle lens. At Mara Nyika, same lenses, but newer body. So we've got a Canon 5D Mark IV, Mara Planes Canon 5D Mark III. Yeah, so that's hopefully answered that one.
Thanks, Alex. Savvy is asking whether the camera and the binoculars are supplied per room at Old Donyo Lodge or if it's per vehicle.
Per room, and at Mara Planes and Mara Nyika as well. So we lock them, we keep them locked away, but we offer them to guests as soon as they arrive.
Okay, we've got Tony who's asking if you could share the PowerPoint with him. Is there...
It's a keynote presentation. I will try and convert it to PowerPoint, but this whole thing is recorded. So actually it's even better just to, afterwards, when Sally shares this with you, you can actually scrub through as fast as you want to go to whichever camp you want to hear, but also get an explanation of the slide that you're looking at rather than just an empty PowerPoint. So we'll send that through to you.
Thanks. We've got some other people asking whether a recording of the webinar will be sent out. This was mentioned at the beginning, but you might have missed it. A recording will be sent out to everyone who's registered. So if you missed any of the presentation, you can go back and see it. It's also shared on our website under past webinars, under webinars, and on our YouTube page. The next question is from Sylvia. At Mara Expeditions, where do you do the game drives? Is it in the reserve?
We do it within the reserve and the Mara North Conservancy. Looking at this map here, you can see the Masai Mara. We do both areas. So it's up to the guests where they want to go. The benefits of going to the Mara North is you can have far fewer vehicles. But they may want to go to see a particular crossing down here where the Mara is, so we can do that.
Okay, Kunal is asking, at Old Donyo Camp, Old Donyo Lodge, do they have tripods for the cameras? Should the guests want to use that?
No, we don't. We have bean bags in the vehicles, and also within the hides, you can just use a sort of a bench to steady the camera, but no tripods.
Okay, another question from Savvy. Do you have to pay extra for the park or conservancy fees to access Mara North Conservancy from Mara Expedition Camp?
No, and the same goes for Mara Plains and Mara Nyika. They're in the conservancies. We include one day trip into the Masai Mara National Reserve during their stay. If they want to go into the National Reserve subsequently, they pay locally for the extra park fee, which is about $80.
Question from Tony. Are there guide rooms for the Kenya properties?
Yeah, at all of the 4 camps, there is a guide room, yeah.
No more, one more question from Pooja. If we have a group that's booking Mara Nyika as an exclusive use and have the rest of their group in other camps, can Mara Nyika accommodate 32 people for a dinner for one night?
I'll have to get back to you, but I doubt it. That's quite a lot. I mean, we only set up to cater for 8 people really, and when we have the new 2-bedroom units next year, it'll take it up to 16. I think it's a bit of a push, but we can maybe make a plan. We just need to maybe send us some details. Depends where the other neighbouring camps are as well, because if they're outside of Naboisho Conservancy, then it could be an issue in terms of getting them there, paying for conservancy fees, etc.
A couple of thank yous coming through, and just people asking if you can keep them posted on when the Jahazi suite will be opening.
So Jahazi suite, I believe we're going to close the camp, I think in April, May, and it will then open again in June. So we will close the camp just temporarily while we're building these 2 new suites, and then we'll reopen it in time for the peak season. But as I said before, there is no peak.
Okay, a question from Martina. Does Old Donyo Lodge have the option of closing the windows?
Yeah, so in the past, we had sort of half of our units at Old Donyo had sort of storm curtains, which we just closed, almost like blackout curtains that we sort of tied to the bottom so that they didn't flap around in the breeze. Now we have the curtains, but we also have like you'd have in a tented unit, we have a gauze front, which means that there's no bugs or mosquitoes coming in. So it's a bit more sort of sealed.
Thanks, Alex. I think that's all the questions we have for now. If anyone thinks of any further questions after the presentation, please feel free to drop Alex a line. As I said, I'll include his email address in the recording email that's sent out to all of you. Alternatively, you can see it on the screen now. Otherwise, Alex, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for attending. Hope to see you all next time.
Thanks so much, Sally.